Welcome, everyone, to the new JFK show, number 196. We just had Ron McKenzie last week, and we've got a lot of great responses over that. I think tonight we're going to take a look at our comments. We've got, actually, this will be our 11th show on 153 News that we've, since we've been terminated from YouTube, we've moved over. We've had a couple of comments. Maybe we can check those out and see what we think about it, and answer a few questions.
And I think Larry may have a document he wants to share with us tonight.
Yeah. And then also have a photo of George Bush in a very unlikely place. And it's also a 30-minute video. We can watch it and comment if you like. It appears that they're using a lot of our work in other videos, so it looks like.
Who produced this one?
I'm not sure. Let me see.
Well, if we cover everything else in 30 minutes or less, and we can go ahead and run the video.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I just have, you might have seen it before. It's when George Bush is at Gerald Ford's funeral, and he says, well, when a strange, lone, demented gunman, shot President Kennedy, and boy, he laughs, and it's an evil snicker. I want to show that at least some point tonight.
Sure.
So, all right, Larry, you want to go ahead and lead off with your document, and then we'll get to
I'm trying to find it. It was sent to me, and then I did find the actual document itself. You can go ahead, and as soon as I locate it, I'll let you know. I'll let you guys know.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and hit the screen share real quick. All right. Now, first of all, we have a new mayor in New Orleans, and I just wanted to ask you, maybe we should have Don here. But here's the new logo of the city of New Orleans. And my question is, what in the hell are these three pyramids doing at the bottom of the fleur-de-lis? I mean, what are we, in Egypt or something like that?
Those are Illuminati symbols.
Yeah, right over our poor city.
I think that's very troubling, frankly.
Yeah, Mayor. Well,
I don't think that's a good sign. And what is the city of yes? What the F is that supposed to mean?
That's our new mayor. She's the first black female mayor ever elected, and she's from the Aspen Institute. She's not a New Orleanian. She's from California, and she has graduated from the Aspen Institute, and she is backed completely by Walter Isaacson. Okay, so.
Well, where'd she go to school? What's her education? Can you throw up a bio of her?
I could probably pull that up real quick. It's really, really something else. But it's just going to be mainstream.
Well, it should say where she went to school, where she was born, where she was raised in California. Remember, I'm a native Californian.
Yeah. Let's go to Wiki, I guess.
How much did she win by?
She was the only one that was going to be there. She is the handpicked by Walter Isaacson to
LaToya Cantrell, and no one ever even heard of her before?
No, she just kind of came out of the blue. Let me see if I can move that.
How long has she lived in New Orleans? 72, Democrat, District B. Well, it says she would represent District B from 2012 to 2018. Born in LA, moved to New Orleans, attended Xavier, BA in Sociology, Kennedy School of Government. Slow down.
I'm trying to see about.
What's your take on her, Gary?
The take is that she is from the Aspen Institute right out of Denver, Colorado, and she will, just like Mitch Landrieu, completely implemented everything that I guess the New World Order, if you want to call it that, wanted. The red light cameras, all the surveillance. We have they're called gun detectors things, and they have two lights up at the top, and they can hear all around the streets at all times. In the front,
you mean to turn New Orleans into a surveillance city?
Absolutely. In the front of St. Louis Cathedral, where Andrew Jackson, is holding his hat, there is a X-ray machine that during events, when you hop over it, they can see completely through your car, if you have any weapons or if there's any contraband or people in your vehicle. And there's also
a complete violation of the Fourth Amendment against unreasonable search and seizure.
Oh, it doesn't matter if there's a major event in the French Quarter. And not only that, the Toronto, remember terror in Toronto, where supposedly a rented truck mowed down a bunch of people?
That was totally fake. Oli and I did a show about that. That truck didn't have any blood on it. They actually even used a mannequin.
Well, let me tell you what is real about it. It is in the French Quarter, they now have mobile pillars, you know, that move over, and they are able to secure off the entire French Quarter because of that event. All right? And now because
of a completely phony, contrived event. So who manufactures these? Who's making the money? You see, they want phony events like that so they can sell you these movable barriers.
Absolutely. And not only that, but from Valentine's Day shooting, the Parkland shooting in St. Tammany Parish, which is the next parish over, they have already hired a crisis active shooter drill psychiatrist full-time so children can go and discuss their fears.
Full-time?
Full-time.
God!
It's already done.
Complete phony. Let me tell you, the latest Sane Progressive went through all the footage from Parkland and couldn't figure out where the 3,500 students had gone. It turns out they were released early. It was Valentine's Day. They let the kids go home at 1 o'clock. So there were only about 48 to 60 students there for the crisis drill, where they were participants as actors that began around 3 o'clock. I mean, the whole thing was totally phony.
But the implementation.
I found the.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I found that.
Okay.
And this is an email that circulated on the 12th. When was it? The 12th.
And before you get going, Larry, not to mention
the 12th.
Andrew completely complicit in the taking down of the monuments of this city, and it was planned before he ever took office. So if you think, I look at it like this: Ray Nagin got busted for having a few deals on countertops, and all he said, we would beg for the days of Ray Nagin, but then we will beg for the days of Mitch Landrieu with this LaToya Cantrell, because she is poised to continue on the surveillance state and everything that goes with it. So we're in deep trouble here.
Yeah, because she's a black woman, it's harder to criticize her because you're suspected of being either a sexist or a racist.
Yeah, there's a double whammy.
This is like Obama. He was a dirty guy, but because he was tall, dark, and handsome, people were reluctant to criticize him.
Yeah, and plus he was black too. I forgot to turn over our half-hour glass.
So you're way off on your timing.
Yeah, I'll judge it a little bit. So anyway, all right, Larry, go ahead and show us the documents you got.
Yeah, I pulled this email that Ralph sent out on the 12th. That was Saturday, the Saturday before Mother's Day, I believe. And he put as a subject, big, 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 big. So I figured that it would be interesting to just read what Ralph had to say, because I agree with him 100% on this, because it has two very important, it deals with two very important matters here. Number one, the supposed Oswald being in Mexico City, and the impersonation and the telephone calls that went back and forth. We've already talked about the Russian translators, Boris and Ann Tarasov, and how they completely denied that it was Lee Oswald in any of the telephone conversations that went between a man who spoke broken Russian and the embassy trying to get a visa, transit visa via Cuba and whatever. And now this other one that comes out, which deals with another conversation. This one is not with the Russian embassy. and the other, which has to do with photographic alteration. And I thought that Ralph was right on the money with this one. Let me get the screen share going. So
listen, did we have a lapse of memory? I thought we were going to have Ralph on tonight.
No,
He and Amy had some new photographic discovery, did they not? Or is this what you're reporting, Larry?
No. This is yeah.
You're absolutely right about that. We were supposed to have them on tonight.
So what happened?
We completely forgot, all of us.
That wasn't my.
All right. Well, look, tell him he'll be on next week. Let's get back,
All right.
get him back.
Everyone can look forward to Amy Joyce and Dr. Sinkay.
You're right.
Yeah, this is Ralph's email of 512, and I think it's worth reading it out loud because Ralph gets a little excited, but I have to agree with everything that he says here.
Well, can we see the photograph?
Yeah, it's. I'm going to scroll down to show everybody what he's talking about, but I can go back and forth. I can go back and forth. Doesn't matter. So, Dr. Fetzer, OIC member. This is OIC member Dr. Thomas Halley. Halley, right? That's how you pronounce it?
I think.
Yeah. Where he's found
You
gold.
gonna read for us there, Dr. Fetzer?
I'm sorry?
You gonna read this for us?
OIC member Dr. Thomas Halley has found gold. He discovered 2 documents of great importance. They were released just this year, and it's unclear why they weren't released last year in the big document dump.
Well, I can tell you right now, they've been filtering the documents, Jim.
You can tell that now from your surveying of them.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, very good. The first makes reference to tracking Oswald in Mexico City, and it refers to 3 intercepted phone calls originally identified as Oswald's, but then it says at the bottom 2 of them are now attributed to some other unidentified person. So it says, later it was determined 2 of the phone calls believed to have been made by Oswald had been made by some other unidentified person.
I'll show you right here. See the red?
Yeah?
Yeah. That's what he's talking about. And this is...
So why were they ever attributed to Oswald in the first place?
Well, obviously because they wanted to frame him. And look at the date here. 23 November 1963.
Wow.
That's
a day after the assassination.
That's right. So you can pick it up. And what were we supposed to believe?
And what are we supposed to believe? That the 3rd call was really made by Oswald? You'd have to be out of your mind to think we're going to accept that. With all this tracking of Oswald, how could there not be a picture, not even one, taken of him in Mexico City? He did not go. Mark Lane was right about that. So is John Armstrong. It was all a ruse. And again, they asked Oswald, and they said he didn't go there. Why would he lie about it? What they mean is he said he didn't go there.
Right.
Why would he lie about it? How could it possibly matter when he was being charged with killing the president and police officer? Who cares? Can't you see it's trivial in comparison? But this other document is even bigger. This is huge. For the first time, we have someone in the FBI casually referring to retouching photos alter their content. Isn't that a standard forensic method, Larry? Isn't that the way police procedures are properly conducted, by altering the evidence? So not only retouch the background, but also retouch the face to a degree obviously not identifiable Ruth Ruby, but also not with actual subject of photo. This is so telling.
Yeah.
They're apparently talking here about a photo of someone who is made up to look like Jack Ruby, but this guy, the writer, wanted it changed so the image was no longer identifiable as Rudy, nor as the original guy either. Could it be book out? So we have a direct reference here to the altering and falsifying of an image in the JFK assassination. I keep telling you, the JFK assassination is the most photographically altered event in the history of man. Now we have it in writing in black and white that they casually talked about doing this in the FBI.
I have to agree with what he's saying. The most photographically altered event in the history of man. I mean, especially with what we know now about the Zapruder film and the motorcycle escort.
The Altgen 6.
Yeah, and obviously the Altgen 6 and the name.
Every photograph, every single one.
Yeah,
we might want to get Dennis back to talk about the massive alteration of the photographic record.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I keep telling you, now we have it in black and white. Be sure to read the rest of it too. If neither suppression or alteration is possible, etc. This is a smoking gun that photographic alteration was a tool of the FBI in dealing with the evidence and ensuring that it supported the official story, both of JFK's assassination and Oswald's assassination. Great find, Thomas, great find.
Let's look at that document because it's highlighted here in red, okay, Mexico City, and references obviously cross and station view dangers, paragraph 3, largely recognized and reference A still apply. Only remaining hope would appear to be to get ASCAM. That's the first time I ever see that that cryptonym, ASCAM. We'd have to find out what that really means.
Yeah, go to Mary Farrell.
Prevail on commission not only to retouch background and photos, but also retouch the face to a degree obviously not identifiable with Ruby, but also not with the actual subject of photo. Am I to understand, Jim, that they were trying to make the man in the Mexico City photographs to look like Ruby? Is that what this
sounds
is about?
like it, doesn't it, Larry? Fascinating.
Yeah.
And then they decided that was a bad idea, so they compromised the photographic alteration.
Because if that's the case here, then this takes on a whole different dimension here.
Yeah, Ruby was a patsy. That's what I get out of it. He was a potential patsy and ended up being a patsy from a very long time before. Okay,
so check this out, because here we start to see more of the cryptonyms that I have been studying recently from the Mexico City scenario. If neither suppression nor effective alteration is possible, station plans to evacuate limited Lillerick, La Cala, recent Licao installation, and La Mesa properties of all gear on phase basis, beginning with limited 25 September. Yeah, limited 25% other. Those are actual surveillance operations, Jim. Limited, Lillerick, La Cala. Those are actual surveillance operations, either video or telephone intercepts. Okay, because I know a couple of those that I've already verified. Okay, so that's if they had so many different surveillance operations in place and they still could not get confirmed images of Lee Oswald or tape recordings of Lee Oswald, then obviously this is something that's Ralph has got to be right, because again, if like Ralph says, if they really had all these smoking guns, then why didn't they produce them right away? And then Scantling and Gerend, who stand be personally compromised in any serious police investigation, being consulted 25 September for advice on best way to approach base house keepers with least amount of alarm and greatest reassurance. This will have to be played by ear, depending on personality, individuals concerned. All will be reassured at maximum efforts to prevent any official investigation through top, and that's where it ends. This is a fascinating document. I don't know.
It is. It's really revealing their methods, Larry.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what they most want to protect, is how they do it.
Yeah, and to get this, I've said it many times, and I spoke about this in Washington and D.C., that, there are a lot of really good documents and really good information. You just have to know,
what you're looking at,
how to extract it. And I have to say it because I've said it again and again ever since, we started to do this with the documents back in July, that they are not PDF searchable. Okay, the PDFs are not searchable. You have to go in page by page by page. It's tedious. It's monotonous, but
I'm really disappointed Trump didn't dump it all, Larry. How could he hold anything back? I mean,
he's trickling. It's trickling, Jim. So there might be something.
Yeah.
It's a little strange. We just had a dump here this past April. And nobody knew that it was coming. So, and I look at these documents and they're just fascinating.
I think it's sort of like Amy Joyce when she found Gorilla Man. She didn't really know exactly what all she had found. And so it's also in reading these documents. I think there's a lot of people that may have read them that really didn't know exactly what they were seeing.
And,
You have to have a really
I've said this before. A lot of books, a lot of JFK books that have been published in the past, you know, probably need to be revised, you know, because a lot of these documents are giving you a different picture and panorama of what was going on, you know, with like for example, you got guys like John Newman, you know, who wrote Oswald and the CIA. Wouldn't he have loved to see, you know, to have access to these documents? All right, you know, and you know, so many other authors, really good authors out there. So, you know, that's just an example. And I've said it, you know, there are a lot of books and new books that are going to get written, you know, based on these documents are going to reflect a totally different scenario that from what we have been told and what and a better understanding of the case. As well.
Yeah, if you write it, I mean, are we supposed to think that someone's going to write a book really explaining all this stuff?
Oh, I'm sure somebody. I'm sure it's already in the works. I'm sure people are working on this already.
I hope there's a truthful one. I hope it's not a whitewash. That's the main thing.
Ass scam, and we need to find out what this ass scam is all about. You know,
I'd have to ask them.
Retouching, and also not only retouching the background, but retouching the face to a degree obviously not identifiable with Ruby, but also not the actual subject of photo. Huh.
Wow.
I think that might be assistant chairman, that Ash Camp thing might be assistant chairman or something like that. It's a reference to somebody who could prevail on the commission. It's a person who has a title.
Yeah. Let me look at my cryptonym dictionary real quick and see if it's in there.
Yeah.
Nope. Oh, wait. Yes.
Thought that was a pretty good guess there, Dr. Fetzer.
I think it fits, Gary.
Yeah.
No.
And you got more you want to add, Larry?
I'll stop the share.
Gary, you want to cover some questions then before we contemplate looking at this video?
Yeah, let's do that. As soon as let's go to screen share. There we go. All right.
What the heck is asking?
Okay. Did you want to go to the site?
No, it's okay if you got them. It's okay.
I got a couple of them. All right. What do you think about this suggestion here? Oswald waited until he could not be replaced. Went downstairs, unseen by Mac and crew, to the front steps to be seen so he would have an alibi since he knew he was being framed. What do you think about that on target, you think? Possibly?
I mean, this is the idea that he got himself out in the doorway so he could be photographed?
Yeah, he's saying that he knew exactly what was going on, and he knew he was being framed, so he went outside. But it seemed like he'd have got a little further outside if he really wanted to be seen.
Yeah, it's intriguing. My impression was he didn't even realize the motorcade was coming by.
Okay, well, you saying that he was on the 6th floor? Come on, give me a break. That's.
Oh, that's what they're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't even near the 6th floor.
Yeah, I agree with Larry.
He wasn't near the 6th floor. Come on.
Yeah. All right.
Mac was up there. We know Mac was up there because of the palm prints.
Yeah. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and play this comment, and I'm really disturbed at how pervasive this is and how often it comes up, and not just on this one here. All right, first and foremost, nobody died or got hurt that day. JFK so-called was not killed, and what is shown in the film is in fact a dummy. A head explosion triggered by his hand by the lady playing the so-called First Lady. Anyone to be claiming real death is in fact a liar and thus a spiritual murderer themselves. Full stop.
This isn't worth the time of day.
Yeah.
This is just ridiculous beyond belief.
It sure happens a lot, though.
Next.
But I did respond to him. I
like your response, Gary.
Coffee mug. There you go. All right, this one.
This is the same. These are all from the same guy.
Now this one's different. All right, so here's our next one. All right, so go ahead and take that one, Dr. Fetzer.
Why was Clint Hill on JFK limo behind Jackie earlier motorcade, turning onto Main, and then a few blocks later back on Secret Service vehicle if he wasn't aware what was coming?
That's true. That's in the Times Herald photograph, and when they're making the turn from I forget the side street there, going on to Main, and he's crouching. I have that photo if you guys want to see it. He's crouching on the rear.
Well, if any of us said that Clint Hill didn't know what was going on, I mean, he rushed forward to protect Jackie, not to protect Jack. What's fascinating is he actually reported what he saw when he lay across their bodies, a gaping fist-sized hole at the back of JFK's head, which even made it into the book, The Kennedy Detail, about the Secret Service in Dallas.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought that was a good one. All right, so I'm going to let you go ahead and read that one, Dr. Fetzer, if you don't mind.
I can't believe people are still cashing on telling the official government story, yet as the truth seekers like me and others have said for years, JFK was killed by professional snipers, not alone, not with an old World War II rusty rifle where the FBI had to put 3 metal shims under the scope just to make it shoot straight. More importantly, the only way to control the official story is to control the body after he was dead, and Lifton found that the doctors at Bethesda made sure the head wounds matched one bullet hitting JFK from the rear. Yet the biggest people is this. I believe the frontal neck wound really exited out the back. The sniper was fired from the south end of near Commerce Street, where he was up higher than the car coming down the hill along Elm. Photos that prove the bullet did hit the rear seat. Therefore, till all those people realized JFK was mostly shot from the front, I will not believe the back wound did not go past the superficial back muscles and stopped about a quarter inch inside the back. And why are there no blood stains on his back strap or brace wearing that day? Look at the back brace and not a drop of blood. Compare the back strap to the shirt. All the real evidence was altered to fit the official story, full stop. Also, lead it up, shoot a gun all day. He was standing out in the front watching the parade go by, as David Wigman film proves. And Ike Alton's 6 photo, the only person in Elm Street that day who had a light brown long sleeve shirt can be seen on the steps of the entrance of the Texas School Book Depository building, full stop. Well, he actually was shot in the back. We got the shirt, the jacket, we got back diagrams. I published a whole article about this.
Those are entrance wounds, Jim, by the way.
Yeah, of course. And the one assassination, which I presented at Cambridge and was published in an international peer-reviewed journal. Download Reasoning About Assassinations.
I'll tell you, I like his comments, except for that. I think the comments are, spot on, okay, except for that small detail. Well, it's not a small detail, obviously, because the frontal shot did not go through JFK. Obviously, we know that. And I also agree with a nick that was in the back seat right behind JFK on his.
Yeah.
Well, Roy Schaefer noticed that. You mean the hole in the...
Yes, that's right, Roy. That's right. That comes from Roy. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's a shot that hit him in the back. That appears to have passed through actually the back seat, the leather of the seat behind.
And we know that there were other fragments and there were other bullets in the limo, besides, there were, the limo, was sanitized, so,
Yeah, they're also talking about Commerce. Remember, we covered that on the road with Dr. Fetzer. That's what he's talking about from Commerce Street, where we were talking about where they were able to put the gun.
We're talking about the origin of the shot through the windshield that hit Jack in the throat.
Yeah. Yeah, from Commerce Streete.
Most of his comments are appropriate.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, see, he's following actually our research of 2014 when we went down to under the underpass near Commerce. That's what he's talking about here.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where the frontal shot came from.
Yes, indeed. All right.
Not
Go
being
ahead.
the sharpest tool in the shed, I fantasize you and associates may find the next few posts entertaining. I stand in awe of you and the whole crew. Not to high-hat any one of you. I'm reaching for Dr. Fetzer and Lance Young on this one. But Lance was the fellow from the student discussion about JFK. But
Yeah.
loving every moment of all of you, it's gold. Surrounded by greats my whole life has drawn me here to witness such greats now and forthwith and present too. Someday historians will refer to you, yours, as the final vestige of reality. Thank you for being role models. My grandchildren and myself will appreciate every show, every replay, note in hand. You all change the content of knowledge, but it's us, the listeners, that change the daily narrative with empowered understanding thanks to icons as such. Listening to you all interact makes me a better human and more tolerable. It's the truth. LOL, lots of laughs, right? Maybe the subject.
Laughing out loud.
Laugh out loud.
Maybe the subject of my post seems off, but I retort, all behaviors noteworthy. Hope you dig. More in an approval way. Respectfully, IR Gunner. PS. 2 watches is the subject. I thought that was nice. I mean, a compliment.
Yeah.
I can't complain about that.
Lance was going a mile a minute, you know.
I know. Wasn't that amazing? Right. That's when we had Lance on. Yeah.
A mile a second.
Yeah, that was for Larry. You know, about Larry's always told us that we'll change history over time, and you know, people will look back at what we've done.
Yeah, future historians, of course, they'll revise history. You know, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Larry Rivera, what do you think about the going on in Shelter 3? Also, the 3 hobos look like 2 of them. Also, the picture with the arresting policemen looked to have the wrong rifles in uniform, and were uniforms reported missing from the Dallas Police Department. Well,
yeah, that first came out in J. Gary Shaw and Larry Ray Harris's book Cover Up in 1976. Okay, that was the first time that those really were published, and yeah, well, we know that we've talked about the other identities before. Chauncey
right,
Hope,
sure,
yeah, Harrelson and Rogers. Okay, and
right.
And we've talked about that.
We know the cops were non-standard cops. They weren't.
Yeah. The uniforms were not alike, and
right.
Yeah, and also the fact that Jim has mentioned it so many times here that the boxcar was full of explosives, you know, and
weapons. And that was curious that Rod McKenzie claimed that was wrong, that actually the boxcar was empty and not loaded with weapons and explosives.
He denied that.
Rod said that.
Yeah.
I thought that was peculiar, but
Jim, you knew Chauncey Hope very well, you know, and how many times did you talk to Chauncey?
Well, I wish it had been more. Primarily, we spoke at at this restaurant at the Rose Bowl when I flew out to California to meet him.
Uh-huh.
But you know, I spent much more time with his daughter and watching his videos and listening to his audio. He did a radio show. He was very open about it all and all that. I mean, very interesting guy.
And I you know, another thing, those arresting policemen, I don't think have ever been identified.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Excellent. All right.
Seems the Patsy of yesteryear not much different from the Patsy of today.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Well, let's just say that in the JFK hit, there were multiple Patsies. They were all, you know, according to what was needed and how the fluidity of the situation dictated. And if Lee was seen in more photographs, you know, then they could control. And so on and so forth. And obviously we had the very first Patsy lined up was Frazier, you know, being the first rifle found that day was an Enfield, the same one that they find at Frazier's house. We've got Lovelady, you know, with his back on it.
Yeah.
At the Andrews Air Force Base, you know, for gun running and you know, we all know about that. And then we got Molina, who's, you know, paid a visit by the Dallas DPD brass and assistant DA at 1:30 in the morning, you know, looking to see if they could find any explosives, you know, guns or whatever at his house at 1:30 in the morning. Yeah, you know, so you know, what can you say? You know, they had a lot of guys, you know, ready here to, you know, and probably they don't even know how close they were to being in Lee Oswald's shoes. You know? So
yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, if you were in that situation, wouldn't you turn on Lee Oswald and say, "Yeah, man, he was up there. He was
I
not in the
saw him.
doorway.
So,
He
or
was
at
not in
least
the
say
doorway."
you didn't see him in the doorway. That's for sure.
Hell no! Are you kidding me?
Gotta be. Could have been. Could have
You
been.
know, Captain Fritz comes in and hands Wesley Frazier a confession already typed up, and it says that he was involved in the assassination, and Frazier says, "I'm not going to sign that. It's ludicrous."
Larry, I never did really get that. I mean, I know it happened. I understand it. But the idea that Captain Fritz is going to say, here, sign this, a confession to murder of the President of the United States.
That you were involved, you know. So, you know, what this tells you is that, Frazier was the first in line. Okay, don't forget that they don't start to talk about Lee Oswald being the accused until midnight that night. All right. So that's, you know, and this happens around 9, 10 at night, you know, after they bring Frazier back, you know, for a second reckoning and for a polygraph, you know, and that's when this whole thing with Frazier, apparently they said, nah, this kid's we're not gonna be able to do it with this kid. We got to find somebody else, you know.
Yeah.
So
something else. All right, someone put this up. I thought it was cool.
I like it. I like it.
All right.
Black Op Radio is a black op.
Yeah. Thank you for exposing Black Op for the radio for the Black Op they are.
well,
Actually,
I have one comment on that. Leno Sanik admits he's never been down to Dealey Plaza.
yeah, that's true.
I don't need to say anything more than that.
Isn't that crazy?
You know, how can you even talk about the assassination? And you know, obviously he's just interviewing people, you know, but he does come out with comments, you know, obviously, you know, giving the impression that he knows what he's talking about, and that, you know, and for somebody that, you know, talks like that, who's never been there, you know, I just think it's, you know, but that's him.
So how are we doing on time, Gary?
I think we're doing okay. I think we could take a little look at the video. It's actually about 30 minutes long, but I don't think we could.
I think we can probably squeeze it in.
All right.
We've been going about, I would say we've been going about 30 minutes.
Okay, I imagine so. All right, so let me get everything set up, and we'll do it.
You want me to pause it?
I've got a really good a copy of that. Are you going to show the one of him outside the TSBD?
No, this is a different. This is him at Gerald Ford's funeral.
Oh,
No,
okay.
We can't help laughing when he talks about JFK being shot by a lone gunman.
Yeah, I'm going to show you two things. I'm going to go to the good parts first, and then we can put the whole video on. All right, so here we go.
Okay, go to the good parts first. All right.
All right, now this is a little creepy here.
So where was George Herbert Walker Bush on that now infamous November day? Well, Russ Baker has done some of the best research on the whereabouts of George Bush and wrote the book Family of Secrets. He talks about that famous day here.
Somebody had asked him very innocuously.
I don't know how that happened.
Well, a smile. First, let's see him talk about it here at Gerald Ford's funeral.
Time and again, he would step forward and keep his promise, even when the dark clouds of political crisis gathered over America. After a deluded gunman assassinated President Kennedy.
Did I miss the funny part? What is funny about a deluded gunman?
After a deluded gunman assassinated President Kennedy. After a deluded gunman assassinated President Kennedy.
Well, a smile certainly does say it.
What blithering idiot would believe that story?
Yeah.
Gary, stop your screen share. I want to show you guys something.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, boy, he couldn't help but crack a smile, even at a funeral.
Okay, can you guys see this here? This guy, this is one of the better copies of this. You see this guy right here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, now we did some overlays. Oh, by the way, this is the image of here. Let me get back to this. Oh, this is the this is the Hoover memo, where it says the substance of the following information was orally furnished to Mr. George Bush of the Central Intelligence Agency. Okay.
Right.
There you go.
Mhm.
And here's some overlays.
No good, Larry.
Huh?
Very good.
That we did on this guy. And I would say, you know, that it's the same guy. See this
It's
one?
the same guy.
You know, and it just so happens the hairline, the ears in perfect position, the eyebrow, you know. I mean, this is a classic example here. We're talking about at least, Jim, at least a 95% probability that it's him.
Oh, it's him. I never had any doubt. The height, the weight, the build, the stance, the hand in the pocket, the tilt of the head. It was him. I
Yeah.
may have been the first to pick him out when I saw this Jesse Curry's JFK assassination.
Yeah.
All right, when I was pouring through the photographs and I saw him there.
Yeah. But Jesse Curry's the image isn't as clear as this one.
Yeah, no, I like it. That's good.
Okay, let's check this
This
out.
is one of the foulest stenches in the history of the United States right there.
Right there, standing on top of it.
Reinvestigation of the deaths of JFK and MLK in the late 70s. Bush's name and address were found in DeMore and Schilt's address book. Bush, George H.W. Poppy, 1412 West Ohio.
Wrong vehicle. Look at that. A four-person vehicle.
Of course. You can't run a reenactment like that. That's so ridiculous.
How absurd is that?
Yeah. No, and not only that, and Jim, not only that, notice how the motorcycle stand-in for Shaney and Jackson are nowhere near it, you know? And the reason they're not there is because it would have proven that they would have been in the line of fire from a rifle from the southeast corner of the window of the sixth floor.
So whose reenactment is this phony piece of...
This is for the Warren Commission. This is the FBI doing it for the Warren Commission.
How ridiculous.
That was funny.
Operation Zapata. The Warren Show made
Ooh.
Hold on.
Your volume is down.
Yeah, can you pause it real quick, Dr. Spencer?
Sure.
All right. So what we have is a picture here on Time Magazine, and we have, what does this have to do with the death of Phil Graham? So I think we might discover something new that someone else has discovered tonight.
as much as it was his funeral. As I was researching and trying to find out exactly whether Philip Graham was killed or whether he committed suicide or whether he had ever talked to Kennedy in those last final days, I found pictures of his funeral, which looks like just a normal funeral with Kennedy coming out until I looked a little closer. Now, I'm not saying...
Yeah.
Play it, Gary, play it.
I thought you said to pause it.
No.
No.
First one to find this, but I've certainly never seen it before. The only image that I've ever seen that shows that George Bush may have been part of the CIA before the record, or he states, was that picture of him in front of the Texas School Book Depository. This picture, also from 1963, seems to show that George Bush was indeed part of the CIA or Secret Service in 1963. I don't think you can argue, I don't think you can refute the fact that that is definitely George H.W. Bush in 1963, and therefore that old man should not see the light of day. He is a traitor. He is a killer.
So what do y'all think, fellas? Is that picture?
You can let that run to the end, Gary. I mean,
Okay.
it's only a few minutes.
All right.
In 1963. I don't think you can argue. I don't think you can refute the fact that that is definitely George H.W. Bush in 1963, and therefore that old man should not see the light of day. He is a traitor. He is a killer. He is a piece of shit. He should be tried and found guilty of treason. I no longer think his son misspoke here. I think it's the way the Bush family operates.
Our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we.
Each other. Don't lie to each other, and open up your mind. There's truth inside. Till next time, this has been Journalism.
All right. If you want to start at the beginning, you can do that. Or if y'all want to call it, that's fine with
Oh,
me.
you mean this is the very video you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well, you know, not only did he have close ties to the Orange Shield, Jim, he had very close ties to the Cubans, and many of the Cubans that were involved, you know, in the
Bush.
in Miami and even in Watergate. And
Bush.
so,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
Gary, are there a couple of segments of this video worth looking? I don't think the whole thing is, but are there a couple of segments like the one we just observed?
Well, I kind of scanned over it, and it seemed like there was actually it's a lot of our work in there. Let me take a look. Kind of brings all this up.
Doesn't matter, Gary. You know what they say about imitation.
Yeah, but yeah, that's
Well,
all right.
We want people to incorporate our work. I mean, for crying out loud, if they want it to be true.
Yeah, absolutely. See if I can find. Now, when I saw Russ Baker in there, I was a little worried.
Yeah. Well, there's Madeline.
Mm-hmm.
Play this part. What do we got here?
Okay, it seems to be interesting right here.
Go ahead and play this for the rest of it.
Yeah, that's what
Okay, here we go.
The high probability that there was.
So I know you're asking me, what does this have to do with Philip Graham? And I'm almost there.
Well,
You don't-
we've already seen that part, Gary.
The Kennedy killing,
he went too far back. Too
in an
far.
offshore drilling company,
Now, this is the part I wanted to see.
which was a CIA front with rigs located all around the world, making it very easy for him to vanish for weeks at a time on CIA business that no one would ask what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Bush was a major organizer and recruiter of the Bay of Pigs invasion, which was codenamed Operation Zapata. Colonel Fletcher Prouty, former Pentagon high-ranking official, who was the basis for the Colonel X character in Oliver Stone's JFK, obtained 2 Navy ships for the operation that were repainted to non-Navy colors and then renamed Houston and Barbara. This FBI memo dated 22nd of November 1963 states that Bush called from Tyler, Texas, but that is no proof that he was actually there. The memo, however, does tell us that the first moment that Bush had to create a phony alibi was at 1:45 p.m. Bush was staying in a downtown Dallas Sheraton hotel just blocks away from Dealey Plaza, yet he's trying to tell us that he was in Tyler, Texas at 1:45. Bush's CIA assignment was in Dallas. That's why he was staying there. So what would he have been doing in Tyler, Texas? JFK had been shot at 12:30 p.m. Would Bush not have been in Dallas at 12:30 p.m. as well, like everyone else, which was presumably the reason for having him there in the first place, staying at the Dallas Sheraton Hotel? The alibi for November 22nd, 1963 is clearly fabricated, and we have evidence that shows he was there. That means that he was lying and probably an accessory to JFK's murder. Bush maintained for 20 years that he simply did not remember what he was doing at the time of the assassination, but all of a sudden, he then concocted
Larry, it looks like the nose is modified in this version here. No,
Yeah.
JFK.
Yeah.
Does anyone think that makes sense?
Well,
Did
there's
Bush-
Richard's wonderful stuff.
That's Richard's collage.
known to have been shot at 12:30 p.m. President Kennedy had been scheduled to give a speech at lunchtime at the Dallas Trade Mart after he had passed through Dealey Plaza. So everyone who was anyone around Dallas was going to either attend that speech or they had already heard about these shootings and were paying attention to local news concerning the gravely wounded president and governor. A speech being given in Tyler, Texas, inside of a building owned by right-wingers to a group of Republican JFK haters hardly qualifies as evidence that Bush was not in Dallas, Texas, where the available evidence suggests that he was on assignment for the CIA and was supervising the second-floor Dow Tex hit team. An FBI memo from Director J. Edgar Hoover, discovered by John McBride in 1988, but written just 7 days after the assassination, provides the verification that George H.W. Bush was an officer of the CIA in 1963 and was provided with updates on an anti-Castro Cubans. George Bush has said this memo was referring to another George Bush because he didn't work for the CIA at that time. But while there was another man by that name, that other man was a file clerk and would not have been receiving memorandums about the Bay of Pigs operation. And other information has surfaced showing that George Bush in the document was indeed George H.W. Bush and had the same address. In 1976, President Ford appointed George Bush as director of the CIA, replacing William Colby. Bush served in that role for 357 days from 30th of January 1976 to the 20th of January 1977. Bush falsely testified before Congress that he had never worked for the CIA, and it was widely reported that this was the first time that a civilian would be appointed to run the agency. But George Bush was no civilian, and it appears that he is a CIA lifer, probably recruited right out of Yale. George Bush was also a close friend with George de Mohrenschildt, including that they were both members of the Dallas Petroleum Club. And after de Mohrenschildt was found shot to death the day before he was to be questioned by Gaetan Fonzi for the HSCA reinvestigation of the deaths of JFK and MLK in the late 70s, Bush's name and address were found in de Mohrenschildt's address book. Bush, George H.W. Poppy, 1412 West Ohio, also Zapata Petroleum, Midland. CIA documents reveal that during the planning of the Bay of Pigs Operation Zapata, de Mohrenschildt made frequent trips to Mexico and Panama and gave...
I also wanted to add, Jim and Gary, that let's not forget that there was an oil man from Houston that was caught inside of the Daltex building.
Oh, sure, he was arrested coming out.
Yeah, he was arrested.
He was arrested coming out.
Right.
Dr. Craig talked about a fellow deputy who had kept a record of it.
That's right. That's right.
He identified himself as an independent Houston oil man. It was George H.W. Bush. They took him, they questioned him, and then they released him, and that's when he wound up in front of the book depository.
And let's not forget that W was also roaming around there.
Right. Richard has pictures of that. In our article, did George H.W. Bush coordinate a JFK hit team, which is in the book and also still on my blog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found those images for Richard, by the way.
Good work, Larry. Good work.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed that Richard won't communicate with us, but you know, this view about Gorilla Man is off the wall. Larry, we're probably good. Gary, we're probably good for about an hour show, aren't we not?
Yeah, I think we're good enough for tonight. No doubt about it. So, all right, we're going to have Amy Joyce on next week and Dr. Ralston K. And we've got more findings, another show, another major finding. All right, this is the new JFK show number 196. I thank you, Dr. Petzer and Larry Rivera, for coming on tonight. Thank you again.